Welcome back, Dash Watchers, for another episode. Today, we're digging into organic chemistry. We're going to be
Ooh.
answering questions that every parent's afraid to ask. And Dutra and I are about to disagree on a lot of different things, probably, with some hot
Hey,
topics.
what's up, guys? Welcome to one more episode. Excited. I have no clue what's coming. I can't believe we're doing some orgo today. That's exciting. OCAM, as some would say.
Yeah, yeah. You guys got to let us know. Is it OChem or Orgo? Us down in Florida, we say Orgo, but we have a couple coaches up in Pittsburgh that say OChem.
Yeah, I feel like some other schools call it OCAM and some calls it orgo. But yeah, it's organic chemistry. It's a nightmare no matter where you are.
That's right. Well, we'll kick it off with talking about some would you rather's, and then we'll go right into organic chemistry. You're going to hear from the organic chemistry expert himself. Um, so
So
he,
you?
yeah, no, not from me, but we'll get right into it. So. We'll both answer these too, by the way. Um, would you rather have an exam, or would you rather every exam be open note, or get one cheat sheet for every exam? And for this cheat sheet, let's say it's a piece of paper, front page only.
Wait, so what? Open note or have one cheat sheet?
Yeah.
That sounds similar though to me. I think having one cheat sheet for me, just because I would make the best cheat sheet for that one exam, and my notes are not the greatest. Like when I'm taking notes, I'm not super organized. So probably one cheat sheet. What about you?
I'd go same thing here. Even though I can bring in an entire notebook, let's say for an open note, the notes just aren't the same as when you actually have to think about what information to put into one singular page, where to structure things, writing super tiny, different colors. It's got to be one cheat sheet for me. Next one. Would you rather study for 6 hours the night before your exam or
Mm.
study 1 hour a day for 6 days?
Ah, that's tough. Probably, it depends on the class, I would say. To me, it depends on the class so much, but if I had to pick one,
Because you could get into a rhythm there on that 6 hour one, but it's not enough time.
that's a really tough question.
But then 1 hour of studying each day, it's like, oh, that's the
Yeah, when
consistency's there, but you don't have time to really know your stuff.
yeah, because once you start like building momentum, you kind of got to stop in this scenario. Um, dang, I would probably say the 6 hours actually. I don't know.
So
That's so
so here,
tough.
I'll help you out. Let's
Give me
say,
a class
yeah,
that
that's
would
what I was
make it
gonna do.
easier.
Physics,
I would do 1 hour a day for physics. So
anatomy.
basically, then I would do 6 hours. Yeah, you already got it, right? So basically, if it's something that's like memory, that I have to memorize a bunch of things, I would rather like cram it and just do flashcards nonstop for 6 hours. But if it's problem solving and applying formulas, I think I would need the space, like the more repetition, long term kind of thing. What about you?
I totally agree. I wouldn't change a thing. It's tough. Well,
But
now
what if
let's
we
say
had to
you
pick one though, like for all your classes?
for
That's so
all classes.
like
This
yeah,
is
like that's what
like
you're doing.
this is like anti like what I would preach. So I'm not practicing what I would preach here, but I'd probably go 6 hours
Really?
because I don't know, the classes that I guess enjoy the most and that I have had to take for electives have all been more memory oriented, less conceptual. So I'd
Yeah.
probably go, I've had more classes that, so I'd go that. What about you?
Yeah. I think so too. I think so too. I would go the 6 hours if I had to pick one. Now, if it was, let me change one scenario. If it was 2 hours a day for 3 days versus 6 hours for one day, then I think I would go with the 2 hours. Because 1 hour is so short. So I think
Mhm.
what makes this question so hard is the fact that it's 1 hour.
Mhm.
So anything above 1 hour, I would probably pick that because then you're studying earlier and stuff. So it's just that 1 hour is very short.
I would agree with that. If it was 2 hours a day for 3 days. I would also choose that option. 6 hours can be long and tedious too. You're not really getting the quality there, but at least you got the time. 1 hour. We don't even, that's why we don't recommend 1 hour sessions really, unless like it's one little simple topic you want to
Yeah.
more practice on. It's just not enough time. You're in and out.
Or you can
Last,
do 6 hours for 6 days.
yeah, that's awful. Last one here. Would you rather have a professor who gives easy exams but teaches terribly, or hard exams but teaches extremely well?
I honestly, that's not even just a question on like a hypothetical question. I can speak from what I actually did in undergrad, and I actually chose the harder professors that taught well because my logic was I'm gonna have to know this anyway for my MCAT and stuff. So whenever I went on rate my professor, I always liked the professors that were like tough but good at teaching. So I think if you're going for a competitive profession, you should not be trying to just like, pass the class. You should learn at least the classes that are related to your field, right? If it's like some classes that are unrelated to your field, I kind of get why you would get an easy professor. But if you're trying to be an engineer, you should learn calculus, right? If you're trying to be an engineer, you should learn statics. So like same thing for biomedical courses. You shouldn't be trying to get an easy anatomy class if you're trying to be a doctor. So that those are my thoughts. I think you should go for hard professor, but that's great at teaching.
That's what's tough with these too. It's like they can go either way depending on the scenario, like general education courses versus job specific courses. Yeah, that's a good point.
What about you? What do you think?
I mean, I'd get killed if I didn't say, hard
No,
exam.
you can think differently.
No,
We
no.
can.
No, I know. But I do, I agree with you. Like it has to be, you have to know your stuff for at least the courses. Anything STEM related, you really need to know your things. So if you're just either cheating to get by or getting by based on easy professors, easy exams, then and we got an alarm here. Um, then you're just shooting yourself in the foot, I think, at the end of the day. So I would go same option. That's not the disagreeing probably point of the conversation. So don't worry. You guys will get that soon. Okay, now we can implement a segment depending on how this goes, where we dive into a specific subject, once every 2 weeks, once a month, specifically for that course. How should students prepare for that specific course, depending on different universities, exams. So today is going to be how to survive organic chemistry. Let's treat it as organic chemistry 1. The students just finished general chemistry 2 up, and let's say they're an average student. Um, we're not talking about the students that knew organic chemistry and took it in high school. Um, so let's get after it. Let's use organic chemistry for this one. And basically, I want you to tell me about organic chemistry. How does one survive it?
How to survive Orgo? Well, I think staying ahead. I like to say that organic chemistry isn't necessarily that much harder than other courses. It's just that much more than other courses. So there's a lot of content into organic chemistry, and it's very fast paced. And in combination with that, I like to say that Orgo is always cumulative. Exam 2, you have to know stuff from exam 1. Exam 3, you have to know stuff from exam 2 and 1, and so forth. So that's what makes the class so hard for me. And that's what I see students struggle with the most. They do poorly on exam 1, or they do okay on exam 1 and then do poorly on exam 2. And now they're trying to play catch up. I'm just going to kill exam 3. When exam 3 is going to have exam 2 material, exam 1 material. So you're not going to kill exam three, right? Like if you did poorly on the first two, it's going to be very hard for you to catch up in organic chemistry.
And what
So
specifically from organic chemistry makes it, let's say, brutal? You talked about how it builds up over time, but what are we looking at? Like, is it the mechanisms that you think that are make organic chemistry tough, the memorization part of it? What is there any specific, moment from organic chemistry that's hard?
I think I think once you start learning the mechanisms, so I think organic chemistry really starts usually on exam two, because exam one, you're reviewing a lot of the hybridization stuff. For the majority of universities, of course, you're reviewing a lot of bond angle stuff. So there's some overlap with general chemistry for exam one that foundation can help a lot and translate a lot. But exam two is when orgo really starts. And to me, it's because you're learning all the mechanisms, elimination, substitution, E1, E2, SN1, SN2. That's when you start to have to think of mechanisms, reactions, and you learn all these independent reactions. And then once you get into exam three and four, you learn even more reactions, right? Alkenes addition, alkynes, alcohols reactions. And that's the snowball I was mentioning to put a topic on it. And then you have synthesis, which makes the entire pie. And it's like, okay, the most cumulative thing you can have because it's relating back to, do you remember elimination? Do you remember how to make bonds, right? And then do you remember all of your alkenes reactions? Do you remember all of your alkynes reactions, reduction reactions, alcohol reactions? So synthesis is like the analogy I'd always give, right, Hunter? You've heard this one. Orgo is like
A
learning
good
a
one.
language. Every reaction is like a word that you learn, and then you have to learn how to put a sentence together, right? If you just know random isolated words, you can't really speak the language. You have to put a sentence together. So the synthesis is the sentence because now your professor for the first time is not going to be asking you A plus B gives you what? C. No, your professor is going to give you A and it's going to ask you how to get to F, right? And you have to figure out everything in between. So that's why it's really really interesting. And it turns out to be basically like a puzzle. Another analogy is you memorize each piece, but then you also have to learn how to apply it and put it together and how to do it, the mechanisms which are long too. So
And
again,
then what they want to do is they'll say, yeah, once you learn how to do the sentence, now let's do the sentence backwards.
yes,
And
retrosynthesis.
retrosynthesis is no joke too.
For sure, for sure. And then a lot of universities do the final where are either the actual ACS or ACS style, right? Um, which once again, it's putting everything together. And in parallel to reactions, there's all the background noise in Orgo where you have to learn the types of isomers, the factory stuff, nomenclature, functional groups, 3D structures, different IDing technologies, for example, in Orgo 2. So you have these both like two streams of content at you the whole semester. All the memorization of the reactions and reagents that you have to memorize, and then all of the background noise that are not directly related to reactions. So properties of compounds, properties of certain things. So that adds up. And keeping all of that, like keeping track of all of that as you navigate through the semester and retaining everything is the biggest challenging for organic chemistry, in my opinion.
I
What
remember
would you say? Yeah, go ahead.
for me, it was I killed exam one, killed exam two, and exam three, and got to exam four and slacked off a little bit, right? Like thinking, okay, I'm gonna be fine. No, you're putting together synthesis, retrosynthesis, alcohols, ethers, epoxides, and I got hit hard on that exam. There's probably so many students, and I've talked to so many out there because then I had to go and smoke the final, which I wish I would have just done well on exam four so I didn't have to put too much pressure on me. But there's a lot of students where, like you said, it's if you get behind on your reactions, you're gonna stay behind. It's so hard to get caught up. I got too behind on the alcohols ethers part, and then you're trying to put them together with alkenes and alkynes, and it's just not, it won't happen.
And you got behind last exam. Like you were
Yeah.
on track until the end. Now imagine the students that get behind on exam two, get behind on exam one. It's like, why do that to yourself? Don't do that to yourself. So I like to say start Orgo before Orgo starts. Like definitely
Going
start
with that,
reviewing.
piggybacking what is the number one mistake that students have in the first 3 weeks of organic chemistry? Number one mistake.
Number one, they think it's another chemistry class, like another normal class. It's not. It's got its fame for a reason. Like there's a reason why there's so much build up to organic chemistry. And I think if you go into organic chemistry thinking it's just another hard course, I already did general chemistry, which was hard. I already did physics one, which was hard. And don't get me wrong, those are hard, but they're not necessarily like a win out course like organic chemistry is, with some universities having a 50% pass rate only. So half of the class failing it. I know not all universities are like that, but there are some universities that have a 50% pass and fail rate, which is pretty crazy to think of when it comes to like an undergraduate course, you know? So I think the number one mistake is treating it as like a normal course. Oh, I'm on syllabus week. I don't have to start studying yet. Once I'm a week out from my exam, I'll start studying. Because that's how most students, even the overachievers, they're the ones that are like, okay, my exam's in a week, I gotta lock in, right? Because majority of students are like, okay, my exam's in 3 days, I gotta lock in.
Yeah,
So
I've done that too many times.
for Orgo, you gotta treat like you have an exam every Friday for that week. Because again, if you didn't learn this week's material, it's just gonna compile and build up.
Why do you think it's so hard to implement that? Like, I know even for me, it's easy to say, but hard to do. Mastering the topics for that specific week, whatever you learned, and maybe even prefacing some of the topics that you know you're going to see next week. Why is it hard to do that, and why is it so easy to just procrastinate and push it back? Do
You want
you?
my honest opinion?
Yeah.
Because because I think you don't have anyone holding you accountable and you're not in the right environment. And it goes back to what we talked about last week,
See, guys,
right?
it happens to me too. Like, it's none of us are
Yeah.
special in this regard. We're all going to face a course that we don't like. Got to get through it.
Yeah, I think it comes out to you don't have anyone holding you accountable for it unless you're the most disciplined person in the world. You're not going to have the motivation to just be your own coach in a way or build that environment for yourself. I think you should use people around you to build that environment, whether that's friends that are taking the course with you, a mentor, a tutor, whatever. Just put yourself in a position that you have to do it, right? Because there's other people counting on you to do it. Um, but one thing I'm curious, Hunter, what do you think is the biggest mistake students make in organic chemistry? Not necessarily in the first 3 weeks, but just in general.
Ah, I would say because the first 3 weeks is easy, and then I think that's the part where they wait too long, they procrastinate, they fail, they get second exam, they think it's going to change, they do a little bit better, and then they like drop the course exam 3 or 4. Not
That
all
pattern
students,
is so real too. Like so many students have done that. That's actually crazy.
but the number one mistake that I think students might make in organic chemistry is they they don't take the time to truly know the reactions. And I hate saying it because I hated when people told me this. You got to understand them. Like you really do, because once you actually understand why the arrows go from source to sink and what is actually moving, it's the electrons. It's not X, Y, and Z what students think it is. When you actually understand a wedge is going out of the page and dash is going into the page, and you can see that on a piece of paper that's imaginary in your head, it actually helps. And for me, I would score well in the first couple exams, but I didn't know organic chemistry until I did the ample practice problems that was needed so I can get to a synthesis and actually understand it. I think it's just lack of actual commitment to practice problems. That's what I would say is number one mistake. Because how many times have you heard maybe students say, I've done all the practice problems in the book? Really? Why are you still scoring what you're scoring? It's you got to actually do the practice problems with no help and sit down, lock in, no AI, nothing, just figure out where you're making the mistakes. And that's where the coaching comes in.
I agree.
What is one, if you can only pick one and be as specific as you can, what is one study tactic that is specifically useful for organic chemistry?
Flashcards. I don't even have to think. For
And
organic chemistry, flashcards.
are we going
Like
physical?
physical flashcards,
I
paper flashcards. And I try to be open-minded about a lot of stuff, but the paper flashcards I'm not
these
open-minded
guys,
about.
yeah. Get yourself some of these guys.
Like I don't even have to think. Again, organic chemistry, there's so much you have to retain, and building that physical pile of flashcards at home will get you a long way with organic chemistry. You will see your exam and you're going to be trying to remember what reagent does that. What reaction is this? What should be my product here? Guess what? If you had those flashcards and you had enough repetition, if you did enough reps with your pile of flashcards, you would remember them. So for me, if I had to pick one, of course, there's others. Flashcards alone won't make you master organic chemistry. You have to do practice problems, like you said. You have to do all of that stuff. But you said one. So for one, I would go flashcards, physical flashcards all the way. Bring them with you everywhere.
Bring them back, stamp it, physical flashcards. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Make
And
one flashcard for each reaction that your
I
professor is
remember
doing.
I mean, that's something that we would do and it works. Like flashcards work. That's why
Yeah.
they've been a study technique for what, probably even hundreds of years. I don't know. Um, is there anything that you want to close out with before moving on to the next topic with organic chemistry? Any other?
Yes. I would say before you take organic chemistry, so if you're watching this video and you have Orgo coming up either in a semester or whenever, review Gen Chem 1, okay? Review acids and base, review hybridization, because once again, organic chemistry compounds, and there is some topics from general chemistry that helps. Not much, honestly, to be very honest with you, I don't think much helps, but hybridization, molecular orbital theory, and also
It's a good one.
acids and base. Review those general chemistry topics, and if you didn't master them in general chemistry, now is the time to master it because they're going to come back harder, stronger, and with a lot more added to it, with a cherry on top.
Yeah.
So, so make sure to review those before you start your organic chemistry semester. And if you have some extra time, learn your functional groups as well before you start organic chemistry. So to me, it would be reviewing three general chemistry topics and also reviewing functional groups from organic chemistry and make those flashcards before you even start organic chemistry. That will set you up to start organic chemistry at ground zero, not negative. Because a lot of students get to organic chemistry, they don't remember hybridization and bond angle structures, they don't even know what a functional group is. So I love how some universities make the end of Chem 2 already learning some of carbon chains and also functional groups. But if your university doesn't do that, you should do your own due diligence here and learn that on your own. So that would be my last tip of the day before you start Orgo. That will set you up at least to not start the class behind. So great
You
way to
heard
get
it from
started.
the expert. I mean, this is somebody who has
Stop.
done live sessions with hundreds and hundreds of organic chemistry students, transforming them from failing to A's. I've seen that. I've seen failing to passing. Honestly, whatever the goals that they want. And he now has really helped streamline the organic chemistry at Dash Academy. All the coaches go through essentially him. So that's amazing.
Thanks,
And
bro.
if the thing is, if they would actually listen to, if you listen to this, you will start off on the right foot. I know you're probably going to be hard-headed. I would be too, but please listen to it. It'll help you. And it's not that much time. Okay. All right. So next one. This is a big parent topic. Some honestly students as well. Is tutoring actually worth it? is coaching, which we've talked about taking a step deeper, is coaching actually worth it? So what would you tell a parent who is asking these questions in their head, internal monologue, maybe students that kind of knows innately that they need the help, but just won't do it, won't get it?
I would I would start by asking questions, honestly, because I think most of them have their own answers. Our goal is to get the answers out of them. So whenever I'm talking to a parent that's a little bit hesitant on getting the support that their student needs, or even to a student, I basically just ask them questions until they can see it for themselves where we would be helpful for them. So an example would be, the question isn't why should you get tutoring? It's like, why are you even considering tutoring? Because if you're looking things up, if you're looking up for content, why are you looking those things up? Why? Oh, because I'm not fully comfortable with the content I'm learning in class. Okay, why are you not fully comfortable with the content you're learning in class? Ah, because my professor moves so fast and they don't go as much in depth and it's so fast paced. Okay, so maybe you need a slower pace. Maybe you need somebody that communicates with the same language as you. You see, so for that person, that's why you need a tutor. So I think if you ask, I love something that I heard from a friend. If you ask why 5 times, you get to the core reason of something. So why are you talking to me? I'll ask a parent, like literally, like nobody obligated you to come here to talk to me about your kid. You signed up for our strategy call here, and we're talking because you wanted to talk to me. So why are you even here? Oh, because my kid's taking calculus 3 and biochemistry. Okay, now I get why you're talking to me. And then you go from there. You ask why 5 times, you get to the core reason of what's actually going on and then how we can support them through that journey. Because we've had students that because it's a class, it's super fast paced, they can keep up with the professors. But we've also had students that had a B plus and they're like, you know what? I want to graduate summa cum laude. I understand everything my professor is saying, but I've been scoring a high B and I want an A. And I'm like, okay, so you're a really overachiever. And with you, what you need is extra practice so every question feels familiar on your exam because you don't have room for basically any mistakes. You want to finish summa cum laude, you want to have a 4.0 GPA. That's a different approach than somebody that's just trying to pass. So I think you got to ask why a couple times to get to the core reason and then match them with the perfect tutor to make that game plan for them so they can crush the course that they're struggling with.
I would answer the question. I mean, I love that all. But something that I would say if anyone is considering, which like the question kind of suggests, they have already considered it. So is tutoring actually worth it? I would say I would just simply want to ask them like, hey, would if this was a student, if you can go into the exams and you can know what's on your exams, know and be comfortable with that information and know you're going to do well? No, I'm not talking think. No. Would you do it? Like, yeah, I think if you can answer that, like, yes, I would do it. And that's me personally. Like, from a parent perspective, if you could know, not think that your son or daughter could go into this exam, crush it, get the career aspiration they want, reach their dream job, like, is that worth it?
I love that. And again, our passing rate at Dash Academy is 98.9. We can even round that to 99%. So, and how many failing students do you think a tutoring company gets on a weekly basis? So that says something. I am confident that if you're doing Dash Academy sessions, you will pass the course at least. Now, are you going to get an A? Okay, that's something that's going to depend on how tightly are you sticking to the coach's plan and how hard
Mhm.
are you working towards what your coach is guiding you through. But I'm confident if you're following everything your coach is telling you to do, you can even get whatever grade you're aiming for, whether that's a B or even an A. But you will pass the class. Even if you don't want to pass the class, we'll make you pass the class because our passing rate is 99%. So I've had students that tried to fail. I swear, students that would miss sessions. Their parents are paying for it, booking 2, 3 sessions a week, and out of those 3 sessions, they would just not show up for them, not come to the session. And then I would tell them, hey, I'm going to check in with you every day, and you just have to do 5 practice problems a day and send those over to me. And they never did one. So to me, that's a student that's trying to fail. And they were failing, but still passed the course. Still, that student still passed. Just to show that it's really hard to work against a 99% passing rate. So if you're failing, we got you.
Yeah, I like that. The biggest objection, like for people considering tutoring, is most likely cost, right? Cost based thinking. They maybe don't truly believe the outcome, and so how important it is it for these parents to recognize, and students even, because people don't realize until after it's already too late, the cost of a class that you have to retake, or it's your last semester and you're trying to graduate, you need to get this grade, or you need to maintain your scholarship GPA or your GPA to maintain your scholarship or grant. How important is it to kind of think big picture here?
I mean, you already said it all, right? You already gave all the scenarios I would give, and I would just add on to one thing. Making the investment of doing a tutoring session, yes, you will spend some money to get the help. That's how life works, right? You want to buy groceries, you want to eat, you invest some money into energy. So, um, but money is something you can earn back and you can make it back. Time is something you cannot earn back and make back. So, I've had students that I offer them a session. You will need help with biochemistry. They never answered me. And then 3 weeks before the class ended, they texted me saying, oh my God, I need help with my biochem final because I'm supposed to graduate this semester and I need to pass this class. And I'm like, okay, before sessions were expensive. I can't do biochem sessions because it's expensive. I can't meet every week. I'm gonna see how the class goes first. But now it's 3 weeks out from the end of the semester. It's her graduation. I wish I could say names. I'm kidding. But um, um, 3 weeks before the semester ends, and she's like, I'll do whatever. And then she basically did a session every day. Now, what was the difference? Instead of doing one session a week the whole semester, never having this stress, she had to lock in for 3 weeks, invest heavily because now she's paying for a session every day. She took a couple days off, but it was basically every day doing a session so she can graduate. How much does your graduation cost, right? How much pushing back your graduation cost? And you think that only happens on your last semester. No, if you're graduating a year from now, but you have to retake a class, that will impact your graduation date down the line
Hmm.
because these classes are prerequisite for other classes. So if you don't pass Orgo 1 now, you can't take it into next semester, but you still need organic chemistry 2 and biochemistry. So don't think that canceling a class or withdrawing from a class or failing a class on your last semester is the only scenario that will push back your graduation. It's not, especially if it's a class that's tied back to a hierarchy of classes that are prereqs to another. You will push down your graduation time if you need to keep withdrawing from these courses because you're neglecting them. So that's a great story that I have for this, and I think it shows the value of a $65 an hour session, right? Like what's $65 an hour when you're worried about literally pushing back graduation, losing student grants, like you said. Some people are on scholarships and there's so much more. Plus the stress, man. I mean, just the stress and the peace of mind that you would have for having these sessions and knowing what's on your exam, like you said, that'll save you a lot of years.
Or if someone could also, yeah, like stamp all that. And if someone could tell me, hey, if you do this twice a week, let's say 4 hours a week, and guess what? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you don't have to worry about it. I would do that. Like just because the peace of mind, less stress, more opportunity to do things you actually want to do. So that's all good. Now, I'll start this next one and I want to hear your thoughts too with yours, but when tutoring is not worth it, when should somebody not even seek it? And I think it goes for me, that's mindset oriented. There's so many scenarios where you can get it, but if you're just stubborn, you don't have a good vibe or energy, you're like just mad about you actually being in the session. I've had students and I've had conversations with parents where the parent wants it more than the student. And those are always the toughest things. They give everybody a hard time. They don't do what's told. I think if you're just going to be going against what your coach says, then you shouldn't get it. Like if you're not willing to actually make the changes that somebody suggests to you and you're going to be having a bad attitude about it, that's probably a time that you shouldn't.
Yeah. Um, from an attitude perspective, I agree. Now, is the question about that like a behavior from the student or like maybe a scenario where the student is in? Like I do think there are
Let's go
students that
scenarios since I talked a little bit more
yeah,
about
because I think there are scenarios where a student doesn't need the tutoring. And I'll give you a specific scenario. One, I think if you have above a 95 in the class, so you have a high A in the class, and you're not having to sacrifice all the areas of your life to have that grade. Because that's also very important. Because some students do have a 95, like a 93, but they are not having a life. They're living in the library 6 hours a day for 6 days a week, like you said. And that's not a life. Your undergraduate career does not need to be like that. You can study less and get the same 95 if you're not browsing through 180 slides to figure out what's high yield on an exam. So it's a very
it.
specific scenario. I think if you have a high A and you're doing moderate slash normal studying habits, a couple hours a day. I only study 2, 3 hours a day for this class, 2 hours a day for this class, and I'm able to keep a high A. I don't think you need tutoring. I'll be honest. I actually don't. Like if you don't have to pour your heart out for the class and it's also not causing stress, the last thing, like you're not super stressed about the class and you're killing the class, I don't think you need tutoring. You should probably be a tutor at that point. So that's like I like to say, like you should probably be the one tutoring for that class because very few people feel that way with a high like STEM work like a high workload course. Like very few people can manage to have that sort of lifestyle in organic chemistry, in physics. So if you're there, but now if one of those things aren't true, I would say you should be open-minded enough to put yourself in an environment that's going to lower your stress, lower your studying hours, and while keeping your high score, for example. Um, or if you're at a B, I think you should always strive for perfection so you can get excellence, right? Because you're never going to get perfection. But if you're striving for excellence, you're going to get good. If you strive for good, you're going to get okay and therefore
That's a
like
good one.
you
That's a
just keep
good one.
going like that because you're never gonna get exactly what you aim for like that. It's gonna be so. Anyways, that's what I would say. I would say you should be striving for an A always, and yeah, that's the student that I would say, yeah, you don't need tutoring for that class, in my
I'm gonna
opinion.
put you on the chopping block here, all right? Let's say, I don't know, let's say Amy from Wisconsin is 3 days away from ad drop period and she's failing, and it's organic chemistry. She has a 50 in the class, exam in 2 days, ad drop in 3 days. What should she do?
Wait, what exam? Exam
So,
three?
let's say, yeah, we're on exam three. Her ad drop period is in 3 days. So she won't get her exam score back in time. Her exam's in 2 days. She doesn't know anything for this exam. Should she seek tutoring? Should she drop the class?
Okay, that's a very complex question because it's like very little time to catch up. And again, it's very hard to catch up in organic chemistry, but it's not impossible.
Hmm.
So what I would say is if her exam is in 2 days, ed drop is in 3 days, no matter what, she should take that exam. Boom. You're taking that exam because you're gonna have to take it in a future semester anyway. So let's get that out of the way. You're taking that exam and you're giving your absolute best shot for that exam. You're studying as much as you humanly can for that exam, preferably with a tutor, so you can cover again more ground in less time more efficiently. So I would say yes, get a tutor and try your absolute best for that exam. Because if you're gonna fall, at least fall shooting. Um, and you're also gonna have the peace of mind that you tried your absolute best until last minute, even if the final decision is to drop. So I would say try your best, go into that exam and give your best shot. And then of course, I would want to hear from the tutor too, where they stand. I would get the opinion from the tutor. Where am I at? Should I drop? Because you can have a student that's failing because of time management, but knows a little bit, or just have no clue what's going on. So I would get the tutor's opinion on it. But the most important thing here wouldn't be the tutor's opinion, it would be how that student feels walking out of that exam. So if they walk out of that exam saying, I did incredibly well, I knew the questions on it because I gave my best and I had a tutor, then I would say, let's do it. You can do this. You can certainly pass this class. Let's keep it up. So it's the less breath. Now, you walk out of that exam and you're like, I gave my best. I studied as much as I could, but I didn't know half of the questions on that exam, just like the previous two that I failed. Then, honest truth, you should probably just withdraw from the course, drop the course, and start prepping for that same course as soon as possible for a future semester. So that would be my advice. And it would be contingent on how they feel after that exam, after giving their best efforts. So that's what I would say.
And this is why this guy runs the academic coaching squad. You got to take the wisdom from him. Listen, guys, listen. Okay, one last thing before we go into hot takes.
Ooh.
So we've both gotten this, but specifically, this is someone has reached out recently regarding this. And so I won't say names, obviously, but let's say one of the parents contacted us, right? And they talked about how their daughter did tutoring at another company and didn't get the results she needed. Now they feel like it's just not worth it to do it, but they're still interested in the idea a little bit. What makes Dash Academy, we talked about different, but what makes parents maybe more willing to try out an option when they've already failed? Like another company has already failed them. They don't know whether or not they should try another one. What would you say to that parent in
I would
this?
ask, do you have an ex-boyfriend? Because you didn't have a relationship that worked well in the past, did you give up on love? Like, all jokes aside, I think that is a pretty clear, though, analogy, even though it's
Yes.
jokingly, it's true. Just because you had a bad experience with something once, it doesn't mean it's bad forever, right? Otherwise, nobody would have an ex-girlfriend and a current girlfriend, or an ex-boyfriend and a current boyfriend. So you just give up on love. Don't give up on love, guys. It's awesome to love. Now, all jokes aside, that's the first thing I would say, right? Of course, it's illogical to think that because you have a bad experience with a completely different company, completely different methodologies, you would have a bad experience with us. And that goes both ways, okay? If you had a bad experience with Dash Academy, that doesn't mean you would have a bad experience with a competitor. So I'm
And please let
honest.
us know so we can improve and fix.
Exactly.
We
So
love
if you've had a
listening to
bad
feedback.
experience with Dash Academy, let us know. Like we want to know why. So other people don't have the same experience as you had. So that's what I would say to begin with. And then I would ask them why their experience were not what they wanted it to be at X, Y, and Z company. So I would ask them why, and I would see if what we do is different from that. Because if this other company, I highly doubt they would have the same methodology as ours because ours is very unique, and we built it, we didn't copy it. But I would see what they do, and I would show them what we do that's either different, that would not be a worry for that scenario. So I would ask them first, why do they think they had that bad experience with another company, and try to learn from that so they also don't have a similar experience with us, as much as possible. So that's kind of like how I would go about that. What about you?
I I think that's a great way to approach it. I mean, I
I already
wouldn't
kind
add,
of I
yeah,
kind of
I
did
wouldn't
the
add
whole
anything
spiel
else.
here.
I've actually had a conversation with a student a couple semesters ago about this. I don't know why this specific one sticks out a lot of times. I won't even name the company name because I just don't think that's right. But so someone was like, I spent $500 on this company and they screwed me out of all my money. I did one session and it wasn't helpful. I didn't want to come back. I didn't go back and they never sent me my money back. And I was like, that's not right. I felt bad for him, but she actually has been a student who's been through a lot of classes with us now. I'm not sure if you knew this, but I'll tell you off camera.
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
It
Yeah,
was
but
interesting.
with that, one thing I would say too is, if they're that scarred from somebody else, I would give them the peace of mind of like, try a 2 hour session. And if your student tells us I did not learn anything, it was a waste of 2 hours of my day, I will refund you fully. Like, that's how confident I am too
Mhm.
that this wouldn't be a bad experience. So it doesn't hurt to try, and I would definitely say that. Try a 2 hour session, and if it's not helpful, one, you don't have to come back. Two, we'll send you your money back. It's
And
like
at any
literally.
point in time, even if it's 5 years from now, show them this clip of the video and
Yeah,
you will get your money back from Dash
for
if
sure,
you
guys.
don't.
Clip this part, because if you hated it and it wasn't helpful and you wasted your time in a session, you should get it back. You should. You
Yeah,
should.
I agree. Totally.
And I'm that confident because we only take the top 6% of the applicants. Our coaches are top performing students in their area, in their university. They're the top 1%. And that's why out of every 100 applicants, we only take the top 6%. And that's why I can say this. We're not an open public marketplace like most companies. So that's why I'm that confident that we would be able to refund you if you didn't like the session.
And I
Because I
will add to this. We are, as founders, we are extremely involved in this hiring process. We do not outsource it. We do not let other people make the final calls and decisions. We view things from a student and parent perspective. We take on people that we would go to ourselves. So please have
absolutely.
that peace of mind.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're gonna enter a hot take round. I'm actually pumped for this one. So essentially, how this is gonna go, we're just gonna bring up some hot takes that are in the academic community and just go back and forth a little discourse, and then we'll wrap it all up. Okay.
Let's do it.
First one, going to class is overrated. With
So
today's day and age, with classes being asynchronous or um, recordings being available where you can 2x it, going to class is overrated is one that we've got a lot. What do you think?
I, I want you to go first for this one.
I'll go first. So we have to go on a side. Oh, I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it. I think it is overrated. Um,
Really?
I do.
Wow.
And I think it all fits together and meshes. I think if you could learn everything, for instance, let's say you're in a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class from 9 to 9:50. It's 50 minutes each class. You're actually losing a lot of time in that class, even though the professor is going. So maybe if it's a recorded class, this applies for too. So if it's a 50-minute class, how many times is that professor pausing, allowing people to go over practice problems, do worksheets? There's a lot of time wasted. Maybe professor got there late, maybe you guys end early, and you drove to campus and drove back. Now, if I could watch that video on 2x and abstract everything in 1/3 of the time because I don't have to drive, so it would be even shorter than half the time, then I think it's worth it. And I
So,
think going to class
okay,
is perfect.
but just to make it clear, you're saying it's overrated if you have the recording available.
Yes.
Okay, so
If you
what
don't,
if,
if the professor's old school You
Like, let's
gotta
say it's
go to
just a live.
class.
Okay, okay, just making sure, just
You
making sure.
cannot miss it. You cannot miss it. No, 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 no. Don't miss it. But if it's available and no attendance, if you get attendance, go to class as well because that's easy 10% of your grade. For me, I've never missed one because of just DNA. Like it's in my DNA not to miss things. But two, if you're getting points for attendance, go to class. That's
Yeah,
my take.
I'm probably not gonna agree with you here, Hunt. Sorry. I
Let's
mean,
hear yours. Let's
from
hear.
an efficiency standpoint, I get it, but like, how busy are these undergrads? I mean, like, what else are you doing that you have to save up like 20 minutes, 30 minutes of your day? So I don't know. I don't know if I agree because I'm big on putting yourself in that environment and also going up to the professor and asking. I get that there's office hours. Now, maybe if they're going to office hours, I would agree with you more because that would be even better 101. But the truth is, they're not.
Mhm,
And
that's
if they're
true.
in the class, I feel like they're more likely to ask questions to the professor, raise their hands, sit front row. I've seen this research where front row students have a higher GPA than students sitting in the back. If you have a high GPA and you're sitting in the back, you're an outlier. Great for you. Because I'm sure people will be like, ah, that's not true. I'm like, I'm not saying everyone. But anyways, um, so, but I'm also like a people's person. I'm always like any opportunity I have to be with people in person. I remember even for sessions, I like the in-person sessions the most. So that's probably my bias too. But I would say, man, you're in college, go meet people, go socialize. So I'm also not a big fan of homeschooling, and I know this could get some hate. Sorry, guys, especially with how things are going today. But anyways, I'm not a big fan of homeschooling. I'm not a big fan of you just doing things from your home. I like to be out there and seeing people, and that's why I'm big on just go to class and meet people and make connections every time you have a chance to network.
So that's the first one, guys. You saw two sides of the story. There's an asterisk on each of them, pros and cons to each of them. Um, choose
For sure.
wisely.
For sure.
Next one. You should not study every day. Not, you do not need to. You should not study every day. You want me to go or you?
I can go this one first. I agree. I don't think you should study every day. Like, I don't think. Of course, there's limited periods of times that you might have to. Like, you have an exam in 5 or 7 days, and then you cram for that week. You might have weeks where you have to study every day, but I do think you should have like a day off. You should socialize and talk to people. And honestly, I think that will help with this studying. So that brings back the holistic approach at Dash. You should be doing physical activities. You should be running. You should be getting your cardio in. You should be lifting weights so you can feel good with your body. You should be socializing with friends so you feel good with your soul. And you should also be studying so you feel good cognitively, right? So if you're sharp, you know your stuff, but it's all balance. And I think you should not study every day. You should take days off for sure. I would try to take a day completely off studying either once or even twice a week, depending on how light my schedule is. So I think if you're absolutely killing it for 5 days, you don't need to study on the weekend. I actually don't think you need. Again, exam week different, but for the most part, let's see if we disagree on this one.
Drum roll, please. I do agree with you. Yeah, I don't study every day. Don't do that to yourself. I mean, there's times where you're gonna need to, but I think it's just bad overall. There's more harm from it. When you give yourself the time off, it helps you rebound and get back, you know, studying even more efficiently when you're back. It's like a rest day at the gym. The rest day one makes you want to go to the gym the next day. So
Yeah,
I
and
would.
you want to be rested to get on a flow, guys.
Mhm.
And when I say flow, I really mean it. Like flow is a specific state of mind where you lose perception of time.
It's
You're
always good when that happens.
you're doing something for 5, 6 hours and you look at the clock and you're like, oh my God, I thought I was here for 40 minutes. And you need to be rested to get in a flow. And a flow happens. This is very true, by the way. This is research. A flow happens when there's a y-axis and an x-axis here. This is actually super interesting stuff, and I don't think I've said this to even Hunter.
No,
So
I'm all ears.
mark this
I
down.
really want to know how to get into this flow.
It's usually unintentional. It's very hard to intentionally get into a flow, but you can do things to help you get there. So, a flow happens when the difficulty, so let's put on the x-axis here how hard what you're trying to do is. So, it has to be something hard enough, but on the y-axis here, it has to match your capability to get it done. So, your ability to do it. Because if something is too easy for your ability, it's boring. You do it for 30 minutes and you're out of it. It's boring. If it's something that's too hard for how much you know, so if it's too far on the x-axis here, it's something very hard and you don't know enough about that, it's also frustrating because you don't make progress. So when you find the perfect match, it's something that's very hard for you to get it done, but you have just enough ability to get it done. And then there's one last piece. You have a clear goal. You have a clear goal. You have to finish it. You have to finish something. So when you have a clear goal and getting to that goal is very hard, but you also have enough ability to get there, that's when you get on a flow. And then you're motivated to do that. Guess who have mastered this really well? People that make video games, right? Another component to this is getting progressively harder. So the more you do it, the more complex it gets. And that's why I used to get on flows with organic chemistry because I was pretty good at it, not gonna lie. And then it was a very hard course, and I had a clear goal. I want to have an A on this exam. I want to know every reaction. So the more I learn, the harder it gets because now I have to retain what I learned and learn newer stuff, but I also have a clear goal. So the first thing to get on a flow, clear goal. What do I have to do? What do I have to get done? Second thing, do I have the abilities to get that done? If not, learn those abilities first and then go for that goal. And then you can try to put yourself in a position where it's easier to get on that flow. But that's basically how you get on a flow.
I
So,
really like that. I mean, I've been in a flow the past couple days, and
and does this analogy make sense?
it does make sense. And I actually have a question for you. So there's X, Y, Z, there's an X, a Y, and it seems like a Z, right? The Z axis as well here with the goal in mind. Now it feels so good when you're in flow and you look up at the clock and you're happy about the work you're doing and it feels good and it feels so productive. Is there my question for you is, because I don't know the answer, I surely don't. Is there any, do you have to like what you're doing? Do you have to desire the task that maybe you're working on or the objective or
I Honestly,
not?
I'm not sure because this is coming from, and I have to get the source here, so I'm not you know
Yeah,
stealing I gotta find the video and I can put it here in the caption because I watched a video from a psychiatrist that was trying to explain what is a flow because we literally turn off a part of our brain that keeps track of time and you get in a flow, and that's why you lose track of time and you just get into that very productive point. And on the video that I watched, it had nothing to do with how much you like to do something. It was mainly how capable are you to get it done and how hard it is and how clear is your vision to achieve that goal. So it didn't have like a variable on how you like or feel about it. It was mainly about how capable are you and how hard it is for you to get it done. But I don't know, we got to do some homework here and see if that's a variable. But on the video that I watched, it didn't have that. It did also have something about hyper focus, which is different than the flow because on a hyper focus, you can't get out of it. So, and that's very common for people with ADHD, funny enough.
I've
People with
seen. Mm.
ADHD can get into a hyper focus. And the biggest difference between a flow and a hyper focus is that hyper focus, you don't have control. You can get out. You are starving and you don't eat. And you just go for hours without eating. You're tired and you don't sleep until you get it done. You're kind of trapped into the flow. Flow is something you're doing it, but oh my God, I gotta eat, man. And you close your laptop, you go, you eat, you come back to it. Now, hyper focus is something you can't stop. It's kind of like stronger than you. And I've had those too. I don't know if I have ADHD, but I've definitely had times where I'm like, I can't stop this. I gotta get this done. So, and I was starving and I just kept going. So for
So
those
we
with that,
don't know if there's a fourth dimension to the flow
yeah.
state, but I really like that. And if anyone has any if anyone else can put their own input into this, that would be great too. And we also got to find this. We got to pull up the study
Yeah.
because I like it. Um, well, we have one more, right? One more hot take, I think.
Do we?
Yes, we do.
Last one.
Okay. Your GPA matters way less than you think.
Hmm. You go first.
This
I
is
think
really hard to
I
pick
think
a
we're gonna
side.
disagree this one.
This is really hard because I'm gonna go. There's obviously you can play both sides. It comes with an asterisk. I would say it's true. It matters way less than you think. And the reason I say that is because with where everything is today in 2026 and where everything is heading, we have the ability to learn information quicker, faster than ever. We can, go into live sessions with humans that know a skill, a trait, whether that's technology oriented, academic, like a tutoring system, or even um, medical, trade. We can learn something from another human quicker than ever because we can have those connections on social media, LinkedIn, all that stuff. And also, um, AI, obviously. So that's why I would say GPA matters way less than you think. It's more on the communication skills. Are you a likable person? Are you trustworthy? Are you charismatic? Are you honest? Like, who are you as a person? I think means more than a GPA ever will, a number ever will. Although I hate to say it, but like the pre-health, engineering, pre-med, grad school, scholarships, grants, they care about GPA, so you got to keep them high, but it just means less than people think. That's my hot take.
So my hot take would actually disagree, but you had some great points there, which is almost bringing me back to agreeing with you. So that's tough now to argue against. Um, but the reason I originally disagreed is because the market is so competitive. When you're trying to get into a good position, where when you're trying to get into a good program, like either a good university, like a university with a low acceptance rate, or a postgraduate course, master's, whatever that is, right? Medical school, especially for those more competitive professions, like you mentioned, there it's so competitive that the first layer of filtering is just black and white GPA. Boom, you gotta hit this number, right? And that's not a very holistic way of looking at things. And although, like you said, things are shifting, I think it takes longer than that. AI is moving fast, but I think it takes longer than just AI because there's big presidents and chairs of departments sitting behind those things. And honestly, old-minded people that take time to change their opinion and change their approach to how they vet students, and even big corporations. Like there are corporations right now that you need to have at least a master's to apply for a certain position. And and it's sad to say, but until those people go away, whether they are no longer there or they die, they're not going to change their minds. And this is something Elon Musk always says: people don't change their minds, they just die, which is a little sad, honestly. Hopefully, that's changing more now. But all of that to say that I think it's only more holistic once you've made through that big filter, and that big filter is a high GPA. So my hot take is you gotta have a high GPA because you gotta make now the market is so competitive that you gotta make through that filter to even then have the more holistic view, and get into more doors of competitive positions, companies, and also programs. So my hot take is get a high GPA, and we can help you with
So
that.
guys, yeah, we're pushing up on the time. Three hot takes, two out of three completely disagreed, but some good points to both. We want to hear where you're at and if you like this segment and if we should do it. Um, I do think we got into a flow state here, maybe a little bit, and we were able to
Yeah, for
lose
sure.
track of how long we've been in this, but we usually try to keep them 30 to 45 minutes. I think we're a little over an hour here, but that's okay. We love it. It was great. Dutra, why don't you wrap us up and maybe even give them a couple options for a course segment, just like we had organic chemistry today.
Sounds good. So, first and foremost, thank you guys so much. And yeah, if we got on a flow here, it's definitely because we had a clear goal. We had to get through all of those things. It's hard to answer some of these questions sometimes. I'm surprised, like, where did you get these? Because, like, I'm listening to your explanations and I kind of agree, but I'm like, I don't. So, it's interesting. So, thank you guys so much for listening to this. Again, a little bit longer than we anticipated, but it's all good. For next week, like, yeah, for courses, I would say the more popular ones. Here are some that I like. Microbiology, that's a course I really struggled with. So I would say that course. Also, biochemistry is another course that, wow, you know what we went through with that. So biochemistry is probably what I even want to avoid talking about. But micro and biochem, I would say, are my next two courses that I would like to talk about more, just because I went through them. But yeah, maybe even some unrelated to like STEM. I would love to bring maybe other coaches to these talks in the future so we can get a perspective on financial accounting, maybe stuff like that. So I would love to hear more about those. But anyways, thank you guys so much for today, and I'll see you guys next week on um, our next course, and also probably have some more stuff there like hot takes and all. One of these days, I have to bring the topics on there because like it's always you bringing them, and I want to catch you off guard one day. But
It's
anyways, guys,
funny because I actually don't look too far into it when the topics are selected. I know it's hard to believe, but one
sounds
thing I
good.
will say though, before we actually do end this, I cannot believe it. We did not talk about classes start for majority of universities in like 3 days. I don't know
Oh
how we
yeah.
didn't talk about that or get to that, but we'll have to, that's another story, I guess.
Yes, guys, let's crush it this fall. It starts soon. Many of the people that are going to watch this, though, it's probably going to watch it later down. But as of today, the day we're recording this, yeah, fall semester is going to start in 3 days. So let's crush it, guys. Let's crush it. It was a pleasure having you guys here. Let's kill it. See you guys
Thanks,
next
guys.
week. Take care.